temperature is here. Wait, what's that?
It's a Galileo thermometer.
Can that tell me the temperature? It's just colored water.
It's much more than colored water.
A Galileo thermometer consists of a sealed glass tube that's filled with ethanol and several floating bubbles. The bubbles are glass spheres filled with color ethanol for decoration. Attached to each bubble is a little metal tag that indicates a temperature. A number and degree symbol are engraved in the tag. These metal tags are actually calibrated counterweights. The weight of each tag is slightly different from the others.
How do the bubbles know to change with the temperature?
As ethanol warms, it expands and the density decreases. Warm ethanol weighs less than cool ethanol, so as the temperature changes, the density of the ethanol inside the bubbles changes and the floaters move according to the density.
Cool. Okay, I get it now. So as we moved outside, the density of the ethanol increased because the temperature of it also decreased. So the bubbles inside with the smaller density and the heavier counterweights move to the top because there's not as much resistance from the ethanol in the tube anymore.
Each glass bubble has the same amount of ethanol in it. Therefore, they all share the same density. The counterweight that is attached to it is what's the difference. As the temperature increases, the counterweights will be lighter. For example, a 60-degree counterweight will be heavier than a 70-degree counterweight. The principle of buoyancy states that if an object is less dense than a liquid, then it floats, and if object is denser than the liquid, it sinks. The density of ethanol will depend on the temperature and pressure of its surroundings. As the temperature increases, the density will decrease. Gravity and buoyancy work against each other to move the bubbles up. Density will be pushing down on the bubbles, while buoyancy will be pushing up, which will hold bubbles in their stationary positions when it is that temperature.
The name of the Galilean thermometer is a misnomer, which means that the name implies something that it actually isn't. So when you hear Galileo thermometer, you immediately think that Galileo Galilei must have invented it, right? But surprisingly, he didn't, but he did inspire it. In actuality, the thermometer was invented by a team of inventors at a school in Italy called the Florentine Accademia del Cimento, which invented a lot of other cool things too, like a hygrometer and other types of thermometers.
Extremely important in chemistry. It's the relationship between the mass of a substance and how much space it takes up. The volume. The size, arrangement, and mass of atoms determines the density. As I'm sure you've all learned in various science and math classes, density equals mass over volume.
Density determines whether or not an item will float or sink. It's a very important concept in the real world. For example, ships, hot air balloons, and most importantly, lava lamps, which have the same concept as the Galileo thermometer.